Why has the theory of evolution become so important in America and other Western nations? We have been taught this theory as a fact since we were in kindergarten. And if you went to college or university, you were more than likely taught that information that supports the theory. So why is it that about half of the people in the U.S. have reservations about the theory? Or totally reject it? Hasn't science proven the theory beyond any doubt? I have discovered plenty of information that puts doubt into the validity of the theory. But why doesn't the public know this information? Why haven't we been told? Some may say that it is because we have been fed propaganda that leaves out crucial facts, and that this sometimes includes hoaxes and outright lies. Since the media, schools, etc. seem to have monopoly on most means of information that is available to us, this is certainly believable. Although the internet is certainly changing that. But in reality, most of our problem is that we have not educated ourselves by reading books or watching videos that tell us the facts that have been hidden from us. This, of course, takes real effort and knowledge of where to do your research. It just takes more effort to delve into sources outside of the typical textbooks, nature films, science magazines, etc. Because of the lack of deeper research and self-education, most people in America are simply unaware of the evolutionary scientific contradictions. For example, as I've mentioned in earlier lessons, many do not realize that the very discoveries Darwin was hoping for, those that would support his theory, have never materialized. That his most crucial assumptions have been proven to be false. That is not to say that he did not do some tremendous work. But as science often does, it eventually leaves theories with nothing to stand on, as time and science expose its weaknesses and flaws. Recent discoveries have proven that his assumptions were not correct in some very crucial areas. In fact, few scientists believe strict Darwinism anymore. That is not to say they don't believe his general beliefs, but many of his assumptions are no longer believed by most, mainly because he did not have the scientific tools and information to validate his ideas that are available to us today. So why do many people, including scientists, still believe in the theory if it is contrary to science? The most important reason is that the alternative cannot be tolerated. That would require a faith in a higher power, a designer or creator. Naturalism, which the theory of evolution is founded on, must deny any supernatural involvement. It simply cannot be acknowledged. Why? Because the existence of a creator implies a moral code of that creator. And that is exactly what Darwin, as well as many today, refused to adhere to. It has turned out that stories that supposedly showed how evolution took place are just that, simply stories and speculation. Stories and conjecture needed to support the preconceived ideas of evolution. David M. Raup stated, and I quote, "In the years after Darwin, his advocates hoped to find predictable progressions. In general, these have not been found, yet the optimism has died hard, and some pure fantasy has crept into textbooks." So most of these accounts have been proven wrong literally decades ago. As a result, true science is often left completely out of these stories. But the general public is unaware of this. The same disproven and made-up tales are still in science textbooks in elementary, middle, high schools, and even universities. Information in these lessons, facts you have probably never heard of, will simply expose these stories. For example, most evolutionists proclaim mutations are the so-called vehicle through which evolution came about. But mutations always subtract information from an organism and literally degrade it. These mutations, defined as changes in the DNA sequence of that organism, would require consistent loss of information within the genes, while at the same time improving these genes. An apparent oxymoron kind of situation. Yet the narrative for the theory is that mutations were the means of evolution. That would imply that losing information in the genes is what caused evolution. Most would probably consider that to be devolution. Just this one fact alone should eliminate the theory from scientific consideration, because degrading of genes can never improve them. But the theory requires just that. We'll discuss mutations more at another time. These kinds of contradictions with science are, in reality, extremely common. One evolutionist summed up this quandary when he ran into problems with the theory. Dr. George Wald, Nobel Prize winner in 1971, summarized just one of the many dilemmas that evolutionists face. When he confronted the idea of spontaneous generation, that is, the idea that life can come from things like chemicals that have never been alive. He said, quote, "There are only two possible explanations as to how life arose. Spontaneous generation arising to evolution, or a supernatural, creative act of God. There is no other possibility." Spontaneous generation was scientifically disproved 120 years ago by Louis Pasteur and others. But that just leaves us with only one other possibility: that life came as a supernatural act of creation by God. Therefore, I choose to believe in that which I know is scientifically impossible: spontaneous generation leading to evolution. End of quote. Few scientists would have the nerve to admit this, that life could never come from something that has never been alive before, because that is the very definition of evolution. So, in order to believe evolution, you must believe something that is, admittedly, scientifically impossible. So, what is the most dangerous aspect of evolution? The most menacing feature of the theory is the fact that belief in it causes its believers to think that they exist as a result of many accidents, that they are just chemicals that have evolved over time. This belief has a tendency to make people believe that there is no purpose in life. It also implies that we are no better than animals. After all, that is what we came from, and so we have permission to act like animals. As a result, we can be as cruel as animals, and there is little to no meaning in life.